G'day race fans, welcome back. We are back once again for a delayed broadcast this time around. This is the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship coming to you tonight from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, a fantastic race course. This is of course Simple Racing Broadcasts. I am your commentator Jared Cole and I'm joined as always in the commentary booth by my good friend Dean Hopton. How are you, man?
Good evening. Good, thank you. It's good to be back at Spa. I love this track, and it's got the recent iRacing upgrades as well, to the updates. So, well, I haven't seen a race yet, actually, since that's occurred, so I'm looking forward to it tonight.
Yeah, should be interesting. We're back once again, of course, with the MC Motorsport GT3s, and Spa is a real favourite for these guys, and honestly, one of my favourite tracks as well. Certainly a very difficult track as a driver, lots of elevation changes, making things just a bit trickier than they otherwise would be, but this circuit layout as well looks like just a cracker for tonight's racing. Biggles, what is it about the changes that you're most looking forward to here at Spa?
I'm not 100% sure of the changes, actually, to be honest, mate. It's just that I've read from some, not a driver myself, but I'd be curious to see specifically what it is. I'll have to look it up, actually, for you. But it's not 6.9 kilometers, mate. It's 7 kilometers. I'll update that.
You know,
Hey,
6.93. I mean, we might be measuring a shortest line. I don't know. It's a bloody long lap either way. So will be interesting to see just how we go with the racing tonight in terms of particularly safety cars. Getting a safety car around this track is pretty horrific because it is such a long lap. It can take an awfully long time for everyone to get around and for the race to restart. So I'm hoping we have some clean racing in store. As always, the format for tonight, the drivers undergoing qualifying right now. Race 1 will of course be 20 minutes, followed by a 40-minute race 2 with a reverse top 10 grid from race 1. So I think that's about all there is to say on this one. It's a really difficult track for these guys to cover, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get out of it this time around. I remember certainly in season 1 the GT3s were a real mixed bag here. There were some pretty epic incidents that happened along the way, so we'll have to check it out and just see how it does go for this evening's race. But the drivers just getting ready to finish up their qualifying, and Biggles, talk to us about the championship standings. How are they looking?
Well, there's one man, Jeremy Washington, that's quite out front at the moment by about 17 points, and he's got 5 starts and 2 wins up his sleeve there. He's followed chased down there by Liam Jensen, and he's in the Porsche 911, 373 points. He's 17 points off the target there, with 5 starts and 2 wins to his name as well.
So Washington really dominating still, which is honestly not super surprising. He's shown us right through this that he's got a huge amount of pace in that Corvette. But the McLarens now coming through this season, they're having an impact as well, aren't they?
Yes, sir. Daniel at the moment's leading those in the McLaren pack, and that's the McLarens in their third, fourth, and fifth in the championship. Reese Wakefield and Ryan J. Palmer, and they're only give or take if you go down to Ryan Palmer. About 55 points off the leading man, Jeremy Washington. They've all had 5 starts each as well, which is crucial because you've got to turn up to all the races if you can. And no wins, unfortunately. Well, Daniel has 1 win to his name, but the other 2 McLarens haven't. But they've got themselves a couple of top 5 finishes. They'll get you up there in the points.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what the balance of performance brings this time around when iRacing do update that, because the McLaren has certainly proven. Look, honestly, it's in the hands of some capable drivers, but it's dominated in a way that you do expect to see from a new vehicle when they maybe need to do a little bit of tweaking on the performance levels. But never fear, we're only coming up on really halfway here in the championship, so plenty of time for everyone to have a crack at that. We are just about ready to jump into racing, just waiting on the final qualifying results to come through. So let's just give them a moment there, and we will take a look at the grid for race 1. To bring that together, so Dan Poulton out in front alongside Jeremy Washington. What a start for him that'll be. We've got further back through the grid, Joshua Van Treek and Lee Keldulis lining up there as well, with Scott Stevens and Brad Cooper alongside each other on row 3. Then Reese Wakefield and Mitch Curry, 7th and 8th, with Liam Jensen and Cruz McVie rounding out the top 10. Jake Robillard and Aaron Schotter just outside with their results, with James Bunker and Nathan Bowman following up quickly behind them. And then Jackson Starrett, not the performance we usually see from him, but we'll see if he makes his way through the grid, starting alongside Dean Powell in the Ford Mustang in P16. And then Luke Newing and Dan Merco just a little further back this evening, with Ryan Palmer struggling today in that McLaren. So, you know, it's not always just about having the fastest car, is it? Nathan Wilson back there alongside him in the Ford Mustang GT3, with Luke Speck and Carmelo Coloridi back into the 20s as well. And then rounding it out is Ryan Orford, starting from the back row in the Ferrari 296 GT3. So a stacked grid as always, and we'll just have to wait and see what it is that we've got up our sleeve this evening as we wait for these drivers to get underway with race number 1. 20 minutes. It's a sprint, but it's not going to be many laps here tonight, is it?
No.
As we're away. Jeez, they're underway quickly.
My friend, this is the tricky one that catches her, but actually they've start off La Source, so they're going to go flying their way up to Eau Rouge. No, there's La Source. I'm more confused on that one. My apologies. Here we go. Depends on some of the classes start in different fields.
That it does. But a clean start all around and good to see. Although early days, still plenty can happen from here.
These are the new parts of the track that's been remodified for safety and the updates with the real track.
Yeah, it was rescanned, wasn't it, to just make sure they did have the...
Down into Lacombe, battle for the lead. This is where you'd be expected to see majority of your overtakes this evening. That's what makes Spa one of those fantastic tracks. And if you can hold on the defensive position, currently you can here. It'll sweep around to your left and then back to your right. And then
big incident behind. Big incident behind. That's Dean Powell that's gone off.
Oh, no.
So what he's hoping for.
Jared, yeah, just after the last results recently, he's jumped up quite a bit. The championship is up P19 at the moment, so it's not going to help his cause.
Work to do, yeah. So Cruz McVie and Dean Powell involved in that one. Thankfully, though, everyone seems to be back on track and underway without too much damage. And most importantly, no safety car on lap 1. I'd hate to see that.
What's happened to Dan, mate? Dan has bogged down at the moment. I don't quite see specifically. He's down at P5 at the moment. Joshua Van Trick is now in the lead. Jeremy Washington is still in that P2 position, but Lee Caladeus is still in that P3 and Scott Stevens at P4. So I think Dan's going to run off track somewhere. Dan Polton, our pole sitter, and supposed to be down P5 currently.
Yeah, look, taking a look, he's actually just had an awful start. Doesn't look like he's actually really run off track anywhere in particular. He's just really struggled to get it away early in the race. I mean, still plenty of time to go, of course, but yeah, it's not what he would have been hoping for.
Putting in a good performance for qualifying course in the men's second championship in every single point. He needs to be basically like Max Verstappen and, well, more of a Lando Norris, isn't it? Max Verstappen. You're going to be ahead of Jeremy almost at every race, but we still have a bit of time to go. Through the bus stop chicane for the first time this evening, gentlemen. All play it safely through there. Pit lane entrances. I think it's there, isn't it, for the GT3 classes? I can't quite remember.
It is, yeah. You've got to head right over to the right-hand side. It's a really tough pit entry, and hopefully for these guys, they won't need to make a stop here in this short sprint race. But it can really throw you coming out of that last corner and trying to get all the way over to the right. More importantly, doing it without getting taken out by someone who is planning on going around the outside of you onto the front straight. Because unless you're really indicating your intentions, it's very, very easy to confuse someone taking just a different line to someone heading for the pits.
I think Mitch Curry was at Aaron Schotter and Nathan Borman. They were tooth and nail, I think, out of La Source. And I think they've got to side themselves to file in one by one through Eau Rouge. But thinking about an attack a little bit further there in the pitches. But generally, most of the drivers laying it off. Although you do have the pink machine side by side. That was specifically right there, setting up the inside.
That pink machine, I believe, is who did we see? Who did we see in that one? I'm drawing a complete blank. I know whose car it is. It's just going to be one of those nights for me, I think, mate.
Yeah,
It's been a very long week. These delayed broadcasts just throw me a little, but as we continue to watch Nathan Bowman being taken by Mitch Curry now, and really Aaron Schotter starting to pull away out in front. So these guys are a nice little pack going on. Lots of lights flashing there from Jackson Starrett. He goes alongside Nathan Bowman. Says, oh, big contact. That's Bowman off.
Yeah,
big contact there.
2 and 1 didn't quite work out, unfortunately, for the McLaren driver. He's going to drop him all the way back down to the back of the field there. And has to be thinking about recovery right now for the second race, reverse grid.
Yeah, and look, I'll be interested to see if there's any action there for Jackson Starrett, because there was some serious rubbing in that. Maybe a race incident, but yeah, not necessarily as clean as I'd usually like to see these guys running. Oh, and another one. That's Luke Ewing going around. Oh, big shot off the back. Oh, some amazing evasive work in the background there. I have no idea how everyone managed to avoid him. That was huge. How does a car bounce like that? He must have hit that wall at such pace.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 big accidents. I saw one just yesterday when I was broadcasting with the Gen 4s and Oval, and one of them smacked into that pit lane entrance, and they had those barrels there. And I've just never seen Harley like that long. There's another one you just saw.
So everyone's starting to tidy up just a little bit. Dean Powell into the pits there, which will be, I imagine, just a little bit of repair work from earlier on. But what a start! Everyone's starting to just kind of sort themselves out up front. We take a look now from Jeremy Washington's car. He's right on the back of Joshua Van Treek. So these guys, we know Van Treek's got pace, but keep an eye on Washington. We have seen over and over again, he just puts that Corvette in exactly the right spot to do some serious damage to everyone else's races, and that's not through taking him out. He just pulls ahead so effortlessly. It's a hell of a thing to watch.
Top 3 is starting to build a little bit of a gap down to Dan. So Daniel Polt's made up another place. I think he was at P5, so he's making his way back up to P3. So that's good for Dan. He wants to keep them in visual range and start approaching, which he is. I think this top 3 is starting to bunch up now. It will bring Dan the Man and Scott Stevens into play. This is exactly what they want. So that 3-way fight's going to turn into a 5-way fight very soon in your pictures, as you can see. Joshua's got to pick up the pace here a little bit, because Jeremy's starting to do Jeremy things, which is go quick.
He's certainly a fast driver, and got to keep an eye as well on Lee Caldulis, who's not that far behind either in that battle for first.
Yeah, at least been keeping him honest, which is once again crucial. You can see there that Daniel's got his headlights on in anticipation for the skies to start to darken up a little bit. Actually, so does our race leader of Joshua. I just looked at the headlights up very good there. Not Artie.
No, they're not fantastic. You really do need those endurance lights about any time of day for any hope of seeing if the clouds do come over. We're hoping though that today might stay reasonably fine in terms of weather. To make our way around again, 7 minutes into this 20-minute heat, and so far so good. Had only a couple of incidents, so at the moment Jeremy Washington just hanging on to the back of Van Treek. But take a look at the pace of these GT3 cars as they come up and over the hill. Absolutely flying.
Because they've tried to widen that to make it a little bit more safety. It's so difficult for Eau Rouge because you want it to flow. You want it to be able so the car can bounce off the wall. You don't really want to put too much kitty litter in there because you don't want the car to bog down, nose down, and you've seen horrific real-life accidents, of course, occurring there. So that's one of the safety things that they're trying to do, because you want the momentum of the car to go forward and not stick and stay. If it sticks and stays, the cars are flying over a million miles an hour and you get teabagged. It's horrifically dangerous.
Yeah, it's probably the only saving grace, isn't it, in sim racing? We've said this before. You don't feel the crashes in the same way you would in the real car. So that's it's the safest sport out there, sim racing.
Luke Speck's got off track, mate. Luke Speck's probably got around somewhere. He's back down at P20. It's the Lamborghini's running. In fact, it's the only one.
As in Jake Robillard as well has had an issue, and that sees him down 5 spots from his starting position. Have a look at the damage though. Is that Dan Mirko? Ryan Palmer's just
Could be.
struggling as well. He's all over the place in that McLaren. No,
Yeah,
that's Jake Robillard, sorry.
With the Schumacher-esque livery racing suit on.
What is happening with Ryan Palmer? Has he copped so much damage there?
Yeah, he has. He's dropping back. He's got no fender on the rear end of that car, so he's down to P19 at the moment. But he started P19, so made up some places. Unfortunately, dropped back.
Yeah, there's some real suspension damage there. Just looking at him trying to control that thing, that's all over the road. We'll jump back up front. No change for now. Van Treek's still leading at Washington.
Honest, I think he's got 10 minutes left to size him up. He's been kind of contemplating. This is probably the closest run he's going to have right now. So if he gets on the loud paddle out of La Source here and then follows him up, we've hit about a 2/10 to 3/10 gap, you've got a good run into La Source now. If you could follow through a rouge line as smoothly as possible, get a good exit on the power there, you might have an opportunity. He's about 3/10 down currently on Joshua, and this might be just enough to stick your nose out, break the dirty air, and try to take him like on, but he's elected not to. He's just going to stay here for now.
Maybe just enjoying the slipstream while it's there. Here we go,
Joshua.
big view.
No, he's not going to do it. I didn't think he would. He would have had to do it a little bit earlier. He's sizing up Joshua. He's putting the pressure on Joshua and forcing Joshua to mirror drive. But I think Joshua is right on top of that one, my friend. He's handling the pressure well from our current championship leader.
Yeah, Van Treek is no stranger to pressure. He's an experienced GT3 driver, so he'll be able to handle this just fine, I'm sure. Washington, though, he's got the pace. He's closed that gap right up now behind Van Treek. And so, look, he's going to have to watch him down these straights because it's going to give Washington all of the pace he needs to put himself in position to overtake into these corners.
Once again, spraying everybody to play, which I suspected. That Lee's just hanging on in the back there as well as Daniel. So that's good with about a 2-second gap down to Scott Stevens. And
yeah, this top four really pulling away.
Run, yeah, for the rest of the field. For Scott Stevens, Reese Wakefield and Brad Cooper. Going to have their own little race at the moment because just shy of 9 minutes to go now. At the pace that these gentlemen are doing, that's going to be very, very hard to start catching and overtaking. That's another thing. I mean, if Jeremy's struggling at the moment to get past Joshua, it goes to show you how difficult it is to overtake currently in Spa.
And it's not an easy track to overtake on, is it? You've really got a few long straights, but a lot of the corners that they go into just don't have the width. As we see Washington contemplating a move here, has to pull it back in, but here comes Dan Poulton, Danny P, having a look. All of a sudden, he's in this.
He can swing the over and under out of the bus stop and into the La Source, but I think he's not. Maybe thinking about getting the overtake at La Cone. Once again, it's all about getting that perfect exit out of La Source here and get on that loud pedal as loud as possible. Once again, it's a 3/10 gap from Jeremy Washington, but more importantly, the gap from Daniel to Lee is 2/10. So, if anything, I think Daniel might have a run here into La Cone.
He'd have to, because I think Lee's actually holding him up at the moment. He's going to have to make a pass if he wants to stick with the top two. Let's keep an eye on it because...
Yep, pass the DRS marker, and that'll be a good indication. You want to get it done before the braking marker about here. If you stick your nose out, no, he doesn't feel that he's close enough just yet. Further back in the background, you will see maybe recent Scott Stevens.
Oh, big contact with Scott Stevens. Look at these guys going 3 wide.
Oh, I'll be lifting off big time.
That's, yeah, that's not where you want to be. Not where you want to be at all. So the pressure on, we'll keep an eye on these guys. This is Reese Wakefield just holding off Scott Stevens. And Brad Cooper having just a couple of connection issues in behind by the look of things. But this, of course, is the battle for 5th.
Yeah,
so it's going on all over.
Yeah, and the poor driver all by themselves a little bit further back in the field there. But it's Mitch Curry, I think.
Mitch Curry it is. Yeah. Just enjoying some space, let's say.
Sunday drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Monday night and a Sunday drive. So,
look, honestly, it's not a bad spot to be at Spa. Racing in a tight pack at Spa is a really tricky thing to do well. So, you know, maybe... big slide there.
Hold on to it, son.
Scott Stevens just managing to hold on to it after going a little wide into the dirt. And very, very lucky.
Overtake around there too, so he's probably lucky that he will save at enough.
Brad
Just
Cooper,
enough. There
though.
will be a Mattone attack here.
Does he have the pace? Has he just done enough damage to those tyres in that slide that he's going to lose a bit of pace here? Those Porsches really don't handle it well with overheated
Also,
tyres.
you might want to switch up to Dan and Lee there. Also go for it. Super. Now they got very, very close out of La Source. Similar situation.
Very close, but of course, having the right line there, Brad Cooper goes through. We're going to go 3 wide into turn 1 again, almost.
And Daniel has got past Lee. I think, yep, climbing up.
He's just made it through.
Eau Rouge.
Now, see, that's an interesting choice because now he's given the slipstream to Lee Caldulis. That's, look, not a call I would have made. But I suppose if
Lee's
the
going to be
opportunity
almost
to come
side
past.
by side. He will be side by side right now. Lee's going to be on the left-hand side. No, he's actually tucked in the gearbox. Is Lee going to stick his nose out there? Dan moves his final move, of course. You can't be multi-moving across there to go defensive. He went back onto the racing line. Lee allowed enough space, so Daniel up into P3 after a poor start. But further up the field, he's got a challenge out of La Source, and that's Jeremy. Might be a nose ahead here of Joshua Van Trick.
He's got the inside line. Can he make it stick? That's a really tough spot to be trying to pass.
He's going to hold the racing line. He might just have it. Joshua might just have enough here.
Oh, I tell you what, though, there's not a lot in it.
Yeah,
these guys nose and nose.
And Puhon is going to be interesting around here. You got two sweeping left hands. Go to the left, 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 left. Then you got a little bit kink coming up to the right. They're still going to go side by side. You certainly can go side by side here in Spa.
I don't think we've seen anyone side by side for this number of corners so far in this series. As Jeremy Washington just backs it off a little, tucks back in. He's going to look for another turn here.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial, of course, because you're going down into your high-speed section coming up soon.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be left hanging out wide, would you?
Coming down to the wash line.
Have a listen to that thing. Just awesome. So Washington, again, all over the back. He's looking, look at how he's throwing that car around to find the line through. Danny P also taking a look behind. Washington makes it stick. He's going to have this. Does he have the pace out of the corner? He does now. Can Danny P follow through as well? 3 wide across the start-finish line. Lee Caldulis, nowhere to go. But Washington's been held out wide. And Van Triek, has to slow it right down there. And that's going to be just enough, I think, for Jeremy Washington to take the lead here. But it's not. He's had to pull back out again.
Oh, come on. I want to see it side by side through a Rouge. No, they're going to lift off. Oh, they don't bold and brave on that one.
Van Triek ducking, weaving left to right, just trying to find the best line possible. And through all of that, Caldulis now looking to make the move. He's come past Danny P thanks to the slipstream. But of course, Poulton has the inside line there. Caldulis has a big look too. And that's enough for Poulton to maybe squeeze back around the outside again. Tell you what, this battle for the lead, 4 very equal contenders right now. We've only got a couple of minutes to go in this first heat, so they're going to have to think about making another move very, very soon if they want a shot at this.
At this point, it's any of those 4s. Whoa, Lee goes a little bit onto the kitty litter coming on the exit. That'll scrub a little bit of speed off, but he might just have enough toe to keep with the lads for a couple of minutes left. Tell you what, Josh has been handling this pressure from Jeremy very, very well. Every time Jeremy's put his nose in there, Joshua has slammed the door shut and is doing a good job maintaining that one. I think this may be one of the last chances right now Jeremy has to try to steal this race win for the Heat 1. Oh, and just like that, coming out of the exit there, Jeremy was on that loud pedal, just managed to get it to snap right in place. And the back there, Daniel, who's our pole setter, he's quick around here. He's thinking, all right, guys, come on, make a little mistake, and I'll mop up that P1 and P2 and take it from there.
Amazing to see Van Triek still managing to hold off Jeremy Washington, though. We said he was quick. He's been playing a fantastic defensive game as well. Washington having another look.
He's could be the last lap there, 2-minute lap time. So yes, I don't know if that
It'll
is the
have
white
to be.
flag. Yeah.
It'll have to be the white flag. There it is. So we're on to the last lap now. Can Van Treek hold on for one more lap? Washington not as close as he'd probably like to be coming into the first corner. Does Van Treek have the drive to pull away
It's
and
half
not
a
get past?
Half a second. That's a big gap. That's a good gap for Joshua to have. More importantly than anything, Jeremy's now going to be thinking about Daniel behind him. Daniel's a little bit closer than what Jeremy is to Joshua, so that's going to be crucial. Josh's got a good exit up through Eau Rouge.
Mikel Doulis pretty satisfied to just sit in for fourth at this point, you'd have to think. But Danny P
goes on the racing line, getting ready to put in the last lap that he needs to do. He has to get this one nailed it perfectly, and unless he makes a mistake from here on, I don't think Jerry Washington's going to have enough up his sleeve to take this one, because I haven't seen any late dives of anybody going into the bus stop, have we? I haven't seen anybody doing those late dives in the bus stop, so I don't think that's going to happen this evening.
No, and look, it's a dangerous spot to do it too, because you'll end up costing yourself a whole bunch of positions if you do get spun around there.
But you can take a different exit because the start-finish line is very, very short.
It is. That's true.
You can afford to go completely off a racing line and send a late dive bomb. That's a good thing about Spa. You could do that because once you get that start-finish line, of course, they're only going to go to the start-finish line now. They don't have to put another lap in, so you won't compromise your entry and exit speed and source. So this is what's going to be the interesting part now. What will Jeremy be thinking about? Doing that late dive, or thinking, well, we've got another race to go here, I don't want to risk it for the biscuit?
And of course, a reverse top 10. It's not going to make much difference for him whether he starts 9th or 10th here. Yeah, it's one of those times, isn't it, when you're racing, the red mist can descend a bit. You just want that last extra position, but is it worth that risk?
Well, you see now through Blochmont, flat out. It should be flat out. No, it's pretty much flat out. And then you got to get ready to spot your braking points now, and there will be a little bit of a send. Just a dummy. I think Jeremy's throwing, but it's not enough, and Joshua should have this one on the bag. Good exit here. Start finishing lines right now, almost right there. It's really quick.
There it is. Fantastic win for Joshua Van Treek. Jeremy Washington in second and Danny P in third. Barely any separation between them, though. 8/10 from first to third there. So very, very close finish. Mikel Doulis maintains fourth. Tell you what, can't be unhappy with that as a first race. Let's see if we can take a look at some results.
Will be just biting himself, isn't he? Like on the fact that that start that he had wasn't quite what he needed to, and he had to fight his way back to that podium position, which he did.
Absolutely. So there we go. Joshua Van Treek in first, followed by Jeremy Washington and Danny P in third. Mikel Doulis takes fourth ahead of Reese Wakefield and Brad Cooper. Mitch Curry, not perhaps the race he wanted, but he'll have a small advantage as we come into race 2 with that reverse top 10. And James Bunker hanging in there for 8th, Jackson Starrett and Nathan Wilson rounding out the top 10. Brian East, slightly slow, I don't think so. 11th is a fantastic result for him. And Ryan Orford and Nathan Bowman further back. Collereedy in 14th, with Dean Powell having a bit of a struggle in that Mustang tonight, finishing in 15th with Cruz McVie in 16th. Jake Robillard somehow managing to finish on the lead lap, only probably by the fact that it's such a long lap with the damage he sustained earlier, as well as Brian Palmer and Liam Jensen further back. Dan Mirko well back through the field, and then Scott Stevens, Aaron Schotter, Luke Speck and Luke Newing all finishing well outside the results they would have been hoping for. So that's race 1. Biggles, I don't know about you, but that's a hell of a start, isn't it?
And more to come, of course, exactly. So Joshua did the right thing, gained 2 positions from his qualifying spot. And that certainly helped him out in this championship too, because he was 11th in this championship going into this race, and now he's got himself a nice hurl of points. Can he repeat that one with a reverse grid? That'll be very interesting.
That is the question.
Jeremy Washington does and come back and get another win. He's got 2 this season. He's been in the top 5 times, so he's capable of doing it as well too. And Daniel, of course, Dan the man, who set the it was quick because he set the fastest lap in qualifying and had to fight his way back up through. Can he fight his way back up through the reverse grid as well to steal the race win away? Still crucial points away from Jeremy Washington's championship.
Yeah, you do have to wonder Let's take a look. We should have our race grid. That looks suspiciously like our race 1 race grid.
Race 1, yes, sir.
Let's see if we can get that updated in just a moment as we wait for the drivers to just get ready for race 2. 40 minutes, so a longer one, but we'll have to see what it brings this evening.
A pit stop too. We would suspect, or you're going to go full without a pit stop.
Look, don't know. Our grid not wanting to work for us this evening, and that's okay because we can bring you up to speed. Dan Poulton will be starting in 10th.
10th. Yes.
After that win. So
it should be
first,
Chris McVeigh.
Chris McVeigh and Liam Jensen on the front
yes.
row. Mitch Curry, then Reese Wakefield. Scott Stevens and Brad Cooper. Josh Van Treek and Lee Caldulis alongside each other. Then Danny P and Jeremy Washington rounding out the top 10. That reverse order. What it's all about for race 2, our 40-minute session. Drivers are gridding up. They'll be just about ready to go. Just waiting on 1 or 2 last drivers to grid. And we are about to get underway for race number 2 here this evening. Drivers gridded. And we're away. Green flag. Mitch Curry looking to make a move right off the start line. Down into turn 1 we come. Big contact there. Immediately. Is that Brad Cooper again? No. Oh, huge hit. Huge hit. That's Danny P taken out.
Yep.
Oh.
Lee's going around somewhere.
That's a
Danny
shocker.
P's out. Yep. Brad Cooper's dropping around somewhere. There's a lot of incidents that occurred in that first corner.
That's a huge set of incidents to open up. So we've had, who was that? Colin Reedy, Cruz McVie, crashing Death Dan Mirko, Brian East and Brad Cooper involved as well. And that'll be a safety car.
I was going to say it would have to be a safety car. There was too many cars involved on that one, isn't it? So
absolutely.
Nathan Wilson was the one that was on pole. James Bunker was in P2. Mitch Curry, Reese Wakefield, and then you got Jackson Starrett, and then you've got Joshua Van Treek and Jeremy Washington. So they
managed to survive somehow.
Exactly.
But the carnage was huge in amongst all of that. So many incidents. You'd have to think, I'm having a look now, we've got Nathan Bowman who's just stranded further back. So that McLaren's just about done. Check out the damage on Brad Cooper there. So that car is well and truly going to be feeling that with the mechanics for a while, I reckon. Jake Robyard's managed to get it back on track with Brian East just ahead. But yeah, some serious damage to a lot of the top contenders. And we've got, there's Danny P. Have a look at the front end of Danny P's car.
Oh.
That thing is destroyed.
He's going up the box, and you can see the crabbing on the front tire as well.
Oh, there's massive suspension damage.
Yeah.
That camber on both. Look at the amount of angle he's having to put into steer there.
I was wondering why he was running off the track there before. Under the
he had no choice. Had absolutely no choice. Yeah, he's got nothing, unfortunately. So he'll be making his way to the pits, and have a look at that. The angle of that front left as he's trying to bring it around. That suspension geometry's done. His race is effectively
and the other drivers
over.
can't. I don't think they're allowed to legally overtake him at the moment.
No, not under safety car.
So
correct.
They're slowing the pack down big time here, which will lose their opportunity to go down a pit road and try to see and get in box if you need to. A bit early, but
it is. But I mean, what do you do? It's I think, like you think about this at the moment. This track being so long, you could probably afford to actually pit in pretty late in the safety car period and still expect to catch up to the back of the pack fairly easily on a full lap.
Yeah, you can. You'll lose track position, but
you will. But you'll have your refueling done.
Yeah. Look at that. They're really crabbing around the corner.
Just struggling.
And do you know that that's a cliff over there, right behind that wall? That's a cliff.
Yeah,
That just
yeah,
drops straight down. Like it's quite steep. So
it's
very
one of
low,
my
and it's only a
least
little-
favourite pit entries
yeah.
by far.
I've seen a car smash into that wall, flip it over, and go all the way down the side of the mountain rally there. So still have retrieved the stricken car there with Nathan Bowman. I think that is. Or is that Daniels?
It is.
That's
Yeah, Nathan
Nathan's.
Bowman and Brad Cooper, both still sitting there waiting to be towed. So we'll probably see that happen on this lap, I'm sure. So out in front, there it is. The look, honestly, probably the first time I've seen the Chevy, isn't it, being used as the pace car. You'd expect it to be the Porsche at Spa, surely, but here we go. That's a choice. That's a choice. Don't know what's wrong with the Porsche today, but these guys will be following it around at probably a bit of a slower pace than they'd be expecting. So the standings at the moment, somehow Nathan Wilson has found himself up 19 spots after all of that. How he's managed to get up 19 spots, and James Bunker in second, up 11 spots since the start of the race. So those guys have come out of that mess.
I think. Well, you said James Bunker up 11. I think that's because they're counting on the first race.
Ah,
that
yes.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd have to be it, wouldn't it?
Because they're saying that Jeremy's down 5 and Joshua is down 3. And
that must be coming from race 1, of course.
From race 1.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was a little concerned there as to how exactly
He did that, yeah.
how exactly Nathan Wilson has survived and gone up 19 spots. That makes a lot more sense all of a sudden.
Yeah, I believe he started on pole. So that Cruz McVie, I don't think was on pole with that reverse grid. So it's a bit strange. No, because he's down in P17 currently at the moment, but I don't recall the first car in pole going around, spinning around on it like that. So interesting.
Ah, look, the details coming out of iRacing do tend to need a little bit of massaging to end up right anyway. But here we go. Let's keep on going. So the light's still on the safety car, so we'll still be expecting another lap yet. We'll take a quick look. Yeah, Brad Cooper and Nathan Bowman still waiting for the tow there. As we see Mitch Curry sitting in third right now, just ahead of Reese Wakefield. And then in behind them, Jackson Starrett, Josh Van Treek and Jeremy Washington will be the ones to watch on the restart, I reckon. Because these guys have got pace. But it is a long, long way under safety car. You'll see the lap times come up. Yeah, you see the lap times come up as we do make our way around here. I think we're running something like a 5-minute lap under safety car. So great fuel saving, but also a very, very long time for these drivers to try and keep the tyres warm at all.
Yeah, we're doing 1 minute 14 sector times.
Oh wow, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough. And there we see all of the pit stops starting to happen. So plenty of drivers jumping into the pit lane here, getting fueled up. The light's out on the safety car, so we'll be going green after this. Now that's pretty good strategy for most of these drivers, I reckon. Get themselves fueled up enough to make it to the end. Some nice fresh tyres. They're only going to have about half an hour left of this race. So it effectively becomes almost a slightly longer sprint than race 1, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does too, because we clicked away through about 10 minutes and we've only had less than a minute of racing because that safety car was called. So it will be essentially almost like a sprint race, as you'd mentioned. As pace car lights are out, so this will it should peel in by the end of the lap. But it will cost us another last lap. There you go, 4 minutes. About 4 minutes and 15
per lap.
seconds.
It's a very slow lap behind a pace car.
So that
I'm
that'll eat another 4
surprised.
minutes into that. So we'll be about 12 minutes into race time before we get to go green.
Yeah, absolutely. So plenty of time for these pitted drivers to actually make their way onto the back of the pack. Like, this is Ryan Palmer. He's just come out of the pits and he's able to absolutely floor it. And look at that, straight on the back of the pack again. And finally, we see James Bunker starting to try and put some temp into the tyres. We'll just call out, I don't know if you've noticed, but Brian East still trying to offload that BMW.
Oh, see?
That thing's been up for sale since I think about the second last round of the first season of GT3 Championships here with MC Motorsport. He wasn't enjoying the car towards the end of last season, but hasn't found a buyer for it just yet. So if anyone out there would like a lightly used BMW GT3 race car, just get in touch with Brian East. I'm sure he'll be willing to part with it for very, very little money.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate.
It is, rather. It is. Take a bit of a look back through the pack. Everyone now out of the pit, so you'll start to see a whole flurry of cars pulling up behind these guys that are just in behind the safety car now.
I thought you were going to say a short view back to the past.
Short view back to the part? No, I don't think so.
Remember that one for the interview in the Formula One where it says, driving, to you, Sebastian, driving a modern Formula One car is like booting up a computer. I can't remember what the whole terminology is for that, but anyway, everybody would know to watch Formula One. That was a famous interview question they had.
5, 6 more, 7 more cars, 8 more cars arriving behind to the back of the pace line. There's number 9. So that's Ryan Orford, the latest to join back there in P19. Danny P has gotten himself prepared and is now sitting in P20. So he's going to have a huge amount of work to do if he wants to make it back up to the top end of this field. But the good news for him is he has a front wing again.
Oh, that's good.
So he'll be very happy that they've managed to pull the spare out and get that fitted, because that car was in all sorts of trouble. I suspect, though, what's going on here? He's slowing down and having to let Scott Stevens through. Stevens might. No, that wasn't Scott Stevens. Who was that coming past? Not quite sure. Not quite sure what's happened there, but anyhow, very odd indeed. Well, that doesn't bode well. Pace car lights are still on. They've just gone back on. Are we going another lap under pace car?
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. They may have elected to do that. That means that we're going to have
another 4 minutes. They have
another 4 minutes.
We're going around under pace car again. Now, I think I'm just having a look at our contact with race control. I think they're just trying to work out perhaps a little bit of the placement of drivers.
Right.
So this will now be the final lap before green, but I think they've got a little bit of perhaps a little bit of work to do. Now you see Ryan Palmer's gone into the pits. Is that a drive-through? It certainly is. So he's copped a drive-through that he's had to go and serve. So that'll bring him down a fair way. Now I wonder where that's going to sit him in the pace line. Because he'll be getting instructions now from race control as to where exactly he needs to duck in. There we go. So that's brought him back down to P16 when all is said and done. Twelve and a half minutes in to our 40-minute feature race this evening, and I think we've seen about a half lap, maybe not even that, around Spa of actual racing. That was a huge incident that opened the race, and they've got a lot of work to do to clean it up. But hopefully, we'll be going green in just a few minutes' time.
I certainly
Big
hope
ask,
so, 'cause,
though.
yeah, been waiting a while.
This is what racing can bring, though, isn't it? You never
Certainly.
quite know what to expect.
What's interesting as well too is it's going to be very, very handy, of course, for Nathan Wilson, because he's just going to be buying some time here in the lead. I mean, of course, he's not racing, which I'm sure he'd love to be doing, wheel-to-wheel racing with everybody else, but he is. This is handing half this race to him already.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not Nathan Wilson certainly not featuring at the top end of the grid too often, and right now he's enjoying P1 for quite a number of laps. Thank you very much, Mr. Safety Car. Question is, how long is he going to be able to hold on to it? Now, I don't think we've seen him come into the pits yet either, have we?
No.
No.
No, they've not been in the pits yet. None of the top 9 drivers, my apologies, have been into the pit lane yet, mate.
So still a long way to go in this race.
A short time to get there.
Yeah, I wonder if they've saved enough under safety car that they're going to make it without making a stop at all. I can't imagine they would.
That is a very good possibility, of course, yes. I think maybe that might switch a right with the pit stop strategies now. You've saved a ton of gas. I mean,
huge amounts of fuel.
Quarter of the way,
cut so
over
much
a quarter
time
of the way.
out of it.
Probably about a third of the way through the race under caution. So, yeah, that gas tank's happy.
This will be what, maybe 24 minutes to go by the time they get around. I mean, that's not a big ask for a GT3 fuel tank.
No, absolutely not. Well, drivers are going to be doing that, and you can't really fuel save too much anymore anyway, because you're just. They're desperately trying to get some temperature in those tyres, but because these cars running for about 15 minutes on cold tyres.
It's going to be a messy restart lap, that's for sure. I am concerned, I won't lie. Good to see though, the safety car lights are staying off at this stage. So there hasn't been any further call from race control to extend this. It looks like we've gotten everyone back where they need to be after race control has applied a couple of drive-throughs and perhaps a little bit of repositioning. Mitch Curry warming the tyres up as best he can. Porsche's going to need all the help it can get. So the pace car is off. Nathan Wilson has it. Yeah, let's hope he doesn't do that into turn 1. And we are away again, green flag conditions. And Nathan Wilson gets a great jump over James Bunker. As we come into turn 1, for the first time in a while, under race conditions. A view back now from Nathan Wilson. A few changes of position further back in the pack. Come back again through Eau Rouge. Wilson making the most of his time out in front, but here comes James Bunker and here comes the rest of the pack. Bunker looking to the inside. Wilson just doesn't seem to have the pace in the Mustang. So that's enough for Bunker to make his way through, and now Mitch Curry wants to go as well.
He's still got to fight it, but he's still going to fight. Nathan Wilson doesn't deal with it too much. Just got to make sure you can make your forward as wide as possible and make it difficult for the likes of Mitch Curry.
Defensive.
Oh, yes. Going to make Mitch Curry go up on the... Force him around the outside, really, as
he's going to have to earn it, isn't he?
Gone around. Ryan Palmer's come together, I think, with Luke Newing as well, too. They're both off track further back, but keep your eyes peeled at the business end as we're coming down another 20 minutes to go after this lap or two. That probably will certainly be. Where is Jeremy Washington? He's still just ahead of Van Track, and that's 8th and 9th too. That's crucial on that championship battle.
So a bit further back for both of those guys, but they've got more than enough time to try and make some moves, and plenty of time for anything to happen as we see Mitch Curry make his way through. He's come past Nathan Wilson. So now Reese Wakefield will be looking to do the same, and just behind, Jackson Starrett. We know he's got some pace in that Porsche. Usually such a Porsche-heavy field, this GT3 Championship. It's nice to see a bit more of a mix this time around.
Yes. It certainly is.
Just a little more varied than what we've been seeing in Season 1. So I don't want to jinx it, but we've managed a full lap at race pace.
You just jinxed it by saying
I've just jinxed it. I've just jinxed it, haven't I? There we go. That's more like what we want to see. 2-minute 20-something lap times. That's a whole lot better to look at than what we've been watching for the last little while. As we get to almost the halfway point, Kildulis goes into the pits. Now Nathan Wilson trying his best to hold on to P3, while Bunker and Curry pull away in front of him.
That's good to see him down the Camel Straight. I'm about to head into Lacombe, and everybody's taking it steady at the moment. Well,
And
steady.
here's Jeremy Washington. Washington and Van Treek, 8th and 9th. So they've got a good view of the top runners ahead of them. But they're going to have to make it past Dan Mirko first. So the driver's starting to settle in here. Tyres getting a little bit of temperature into them. A few trades position a little further back through the pack. Ryan Orford and Scott Stevens going at it. Ryan Orford's gone very wide. Scott Stevens gone around. So hopefully he can actually get that moving again. He can. So we're not going back to safety car. The good news is we're not going back to safety car.
Yeah, that would practically destroy a majority of the race on that one. That would be like a 10-minute sprint.
Yeah. Which, look, I don't mind it. I don't mind a good sprint finish. But it's certainly not the way we want these races to go for everyone watching at home. Mitch Curry finding it difficult at the moment to actually latch onto the back of James Bunker. Can he make the most of the slipstream here? High speed section. Plenty of opportunity, but you've got to be close enough to get into it in the first place. Slowly looking to close that up. Bunker actually handling that Ferrari very nicely, getting a good drive out of that final corner, and Curry starts to drop away again. And from there, we've got almost 5 seconds back to the Mr. Sparkaroo Porsche of Cruz McVee. Do love a good Simpsons reference. You know, there's a Simpsons quote for every moment in life.
Well,
I'm sure of it.
It's been on for like 30 seasons. I think I'm pretty sure you have everything these days.
Absolutely. Dan Mirko starting to catch these guys up a little as well, but Jeremy Washington and Van Treek haven't managed to make it past.
Now, it's interesting is we still have James Bunker in the lead now, but it's more importantly, isn't it? Jackson, Joshua Van Treek and Jeremy Washington still 5th and 6th, and Joshua has managed to get past Jeremy. He was ahead of Jeremy Washington.
They've made it through. What's happened to the front end of Reese Wakefield?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Reese has dropped down. Reese was actually running up about 3, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. So he's come together in a big way there, and he's lost his entire front bar. So that's going to make cornering interesting, to say the least. Looks like the suspension geometry all still intact, but he's going to be losing a bunch of time just in aero. Basically a giant air dam that he's looking at right now, so he'll be off pace, and that gives a huge opportunity to Dean Powell, Liam Jensen just behind him, and Jake Robiard not too far back either. We see one of the ADHD boys in the background going very, very wide. Looks like it might have actually been Ryan Palmer who's been lapped at this stage, so he's struggling with the McLaren here tonight. Further up the field though, James Bunker, lone Ferrari, really, just out in front and pulling away ever so slightly from Mitch Curry lap on lap. And both of these guys though need to be thinking about whether they're going to have the fuel to make it to the end.
That's what I was contemplating on that one. I mean, it's a pity we can ask the live audience at that one, because I would be very curious as Mr. Bunker sets the fastest lap just then on the last lap. So he's certainly maintaining that that P1 position, that he has a gap to about 0.8 over Mitch Curry in P2. Cruz McVeil's McVeigh is just in P3. So where did Cruz come all the way back up through the field there? That's a fantastic job there for
He's managed to get
Porsche.
through.
Yeah.
So if you have a look at the tower, top 4 still haven't made a stop yet. So Van Treek and Washington have made their stop. They're fueled up.
Yep.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But as it stands right now, big gap back from these top 2 to Cruz McVeigh, who's just been passed by Jackson Starrett.
Yeah, Cruz may be on Cruz fuel save mode moving there. Cruz, there you go.
Could be
fuel save, fuel coasting, perhaps, because we don't
16
know
minutes
if they can go
to
to the
run.
end.
Give or
Yeah,
take.
but if you start, there's got a bit of pressure there from Joshua now and Jeremy Washington, so he might have to concede these places soon. If he is definitely on fuel saving, he would definitely be thinking about not putting too much of a fight up for them. But then you've got to also consider how much other places are going to be losing as well too overall. Still got a good chunk of 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, plenty of time. Plenty of time for it all to still happen. You can see in the background, Washington just not quite keeping up with Van Treek. I don't know if he's struggled a bit out of one of the corners or what's happened there, but he was all over the back of Van Treek for a while, and now he's opened up that gap. That's going to give Van Treek an opportunity to perhaps put some distance between the two of them if he can just make it past McVeigh and Starrett and get some clean air ahead of him. But even that's going to be a bit of an ask. This is Spa after all, and finding a passing opportunity is one of the biggest challenges of this track.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, look, it is a huge
Stick your nose and get it chopped off if you have to. Door banging.
Why not? Why not?
Turn them. No, I don't know that. These drivers are very respectful of each other. If you get a car there, we'll see it, of course, with Homer on the side of the machine at the road.
Now, it's not Homer. It's Mr. Sparku.
That's right,
I'm trying desperately to recall what the two companies were that merged. What was it? It was an electric light company.
Tobacco's.
A light bulb company. Light bulb company, and where did the eyes come from? Anyway, my Simpsons trivia failing me right now. What's not failing Jackson Starrett is the drive out of turn 1 as he opens up the gap. Van Treek, though, has made it past McVeigh as well, so that's the first move that Van Treek was wanting. Washington not managing to close this gap down at all. Maybe just waiting and biding his time for Starrett and McVeigh to come in for their pit stops. But the Corvette just not getting the pace that we're used to seeing from Washington so far this season.
What do you also feel about the new V8 supercars updated now?
Gen 3's coming in. And I cannot wait. I am absolutely stoked to see that. I'm hoping.
When are they releasing? You know?
December 10th. We're expecting that.
Oh, you know then specifically, counting the days down. All right.
I'm counting the days down. Reese Wakefield just copying a black flag there, so he'll be going for a drive-through. That won't have any impact at the front end of the field, though, as he finds himself back in 18th.
No more Holden.
Yeah, look, no more Holden. I'm not terribly disappointed by that. That doesn't hurt my soul or anything. On board now with Starrett. Sure, a slightly older entry in terms of the recency of these GT3 cars being added to the service, but certainly still sounds good. Can't argue with that much. Washington managing to close it up here too, so I think Starrett just perhaps watching the mirrors a little bit, slowing this whole pack down. McVeigh goes wide, holds it together. But again, an opportunity for Washington to just pull a little bit closer. Let's just keep an eye on this and see if these guys are thinking about a pit stop soon. We're down to 12 minutes to run. So we see Van Treek makes a big move. Puts it through on Starrett. He'll be pulling away now. Neither of these Porsches going into the pits, so Washington's going to have to make his way past who wants to stay in touch with Joshua Van Treek.
And James Bunker's still putting in some banker laps too, because he still has the fastest lap at 2:18. He did that just a couple laps ago. So, yeah, he's not fuel saving if he's banking in purples.
No, 100% on the gas pedal the whole way around at this point. He's holding Mitch Curry to an 8/10 gap. So, yeah, no backing off for James Bunker. you got to figure it's one of two things, right? Either he's got so much fuel after that long safety car period that he doesn't have to worry too much, or he's got so little fuel that he's just going to have fun with it before he comes into the pits. I don't think it can be anything else in between, can it?
True.
So this is the battle for third right now. Van Treek hanging on to it after just making his way past Starrett. But of course the Porsche's in the middle running light on fuel compared to the Ferrari and the Corvette.
Well, yeah. Well, it's interesting too. What's been good for Joshua Van Track, he's managed to, of course, because he's cleared Jackson Starrett and Cruz, he's got that two-car gap to Jeremy Washington. Now, Jeremy might be wondering, of course, if those two drivers, the 555 and the 39 machine, are going to go into pit road or not, because he'll give him those positions handed to. But for Joshua, that's looking good, isn't it? He's got a race win.
Washington coming through
So,
now as well.
Didn't get the race win, did he, in the last one?
No, but
he certainly got good results up there, and of course he'll be finishing ahead of Jeremy Washington.
Actually, sorry, no, Van Treek did get the race win.
Van Treek got the race win. That's right. Sorry, my apologies. So yeah, so it'll give him a chunk of points.
Points, absolutely. Not a great deal over Washington at this stage, though. So yeah, look for Washington to potentially maintain his series lead, but we've still got just about 10 minutes to run in this race, so a little way to go yet. So Washington just poking the nose up the inside again. Still, Starrett and McVie not looking to pit. Now, if we look ahead, what's happened here? Bunker, all of a sudden, has Mitch Curry right in behind. So he's closed that gap up in a big way. Will Curry make the move? There's the question. Does he have the pace to push through here? Not just yet. Not just yet.
And did they go 30 minutes, that's just shy of 11 minutes remaining in this race? Are they running on gasoline empty, or do they have just enough to go to the end? Can James Bunker hold on? Can Mitch Curry hold on? Can the likes of Jackson Starrett hold on? And Cruz McVie as well. They'd be to take the pit stops down there. Well, not just them, actually. Dan Micro further down in P10. Jake Rebillard. He also happened to take... They're the only drivers left that have not gone down pit road.
Yeah, there's less and less of them now as everyone gets in and makes that last minute splash of fuel. But the front group's so spread out tonight. Like, we're looking at the intervals between them right now, but when you take a look at the gap from the leader, we've got, what, 30 seconds back to P15. Which, on any other track, would be almost, what, 3/4 of the lap?
A lot, yeah, but not this one.
It's a huge gap. Not this one, no. But you can see just the amount of space back to P3 is pretty significant. So these guys out in front, I'll have to wait and see. I'm curious to see if they're coming into the pits here. Whether they're going to continue. I mean, it's still a long way to go. Still 8 minutes. But neither coming in. So you've got to think at this point that safety car has given them just enough reserve that they reckon they can make it to the end. If we take a look a bit further back, Washington's made it through now on Starrett. So the Porsche's dropping to the back of this battle for P3. Van Treek and Washington will now be on the move.
What's going to happen? Mitch Curry still keeping James at bay, but certainly where the hot spot is further back, where you can see currently the pictures of Mr. Washington getting past Jackson Starrett. So now next up the road will be Joshua Van Track.
Gonna have to keep an eye on Starrett though. Starrett's got the aero advantage and he is absolutely right on the tail here. Very late move. across by Washington just to try and open up that corner entry. And it's been just enough to hold off Starrett in the Porsche, who's probably running a fair bit lighter, having not made that pit stop. So perhaps a little more grip and a little more pace than the Corvette right now. Washington will have to be feeling confident in his ability based on his results so far this season. He's certainly got the pace as a driver, so that Corvette in some good hands at the moment. And just in the background, just got a little glimpse there of crowd favourite Danny P making his way up through in P7. So he's recovered really well from the earlier issues. Now up just a couple of spots from where he started this race. You see, that's the view forward from Jeremy Washington's car, and he is keen to get on the back of that Ferrari, Joshua Van Treek.
It's getting crunch time now, so the boys will start picking up pace, getting the overtake done.
You can see that from Washington now. Starrett's dropping away. So whether that's Washington leaving him behind or Starrett making a few errors, might be a combination of the two, but from right on the tail, Starrett's going to have to really work if he wants to maintain contact with Washington as they round turn one. The lap time's still very, very quick. Van Treek putting in a 2:18 there. All three of these drivers are 2:19 as well, so some fast lap times still coming out of this pack. No one's into fuel saving mode at the moment.
Oh no, you got to think, isn't it? You don't want to box on the last lap, but oof, if they have to, they have to. This is going to be very exciting to see whether or not they have to do that. Well, Joshua's got a big smile on his face, no doubt. Jeremy Washington will obviously have another big smile on their face going, we've got P1, P2 in the bag there. If these two up the road have to go down pit road. And these two are keeping each other together. Mitch Curry isn't backing off either. He's really starting to put the pressure there on James Bunker, who does still have the fastest lap. So we know James Bunker could respond, perhaps, and defend against Mitch Curry. But does that mean he's also going to be pushing that gas tank? Because surely these two are going to be working together somehow along the line, even though they're not teammates, and say, "God, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose our positions if we push each other too hard, if we don't have enough fuel."
You've got to wonder. I'm still not convinced that these guys are going to make it to the end on this tank, but with less than 4 minutes to go in the timer, it's looking likely. I mean, really, if they can survive another, 2 laps after this one, they're done.
Well, on top of that, their last laps, they're still putting competitive lap times in. Joshua did do an 18.9, so Joshua's about half a second a lap quicker. But he is 7 seconds.
He's still got to close down. Yeah. 7
and
seconds?
These guys know if they do box right now, they're gonna maybe just be lucky to barely lucky to get the top 10. That'll be interesting to see on that one. If you did the gap to the leader, well, yeah, for sure, isn't it? Pit stop around here is going to cost you what?
Oh, and there they go. They're both in.
Oh, they're both going in. So that's it. That's answered the question for us. They could not go yet. We still got 2 other drivers out there, so keep an eye on Jackson Starrett and Cruz McVie if he happens to go. There is one in the background. I present that's Jackson.
Starrett's making the run. So these guys into the pits. There goes Jeremy Washington and Joshua Van Treek. They will be cheering. Made the right call to pit under safety car.
Actually, Jackson did not come into pit road.
He didn't, no.
Wow.
And with those stops, that puts Danny P up into 4th.
Jake Rebillard as well, so they got an extra tank of gas out of this.
That's a big ask. Aaron Schotter gets a drive-through penalty as well, so he'll be going to serve that.
He's probably upset about the fact that they had to get those positions away. Well, James Bunker's now come back out in P7.
It won't be a bad result for him either.
But Joshua's going to be happy, isn't he? Joshua's going to be super stoked going, I got back-to-back wins here.
Have a look at Dean Power looking for a move on Mitch Curry. So these guys were out in front just a moment ago, and they now find themselves right back in amongst the pack. Curry up in 5th, Dean Powell in between Curry and Bunker. So we'll have to see if Bunker wants to just put a little pressure on, perhaps.
Why not? He's got the fastest lap.
It's certainly quick.
He should. I mean, Dean wants some good, solid results as well because he didn't have the best result in race 1, and after he made a big leap of three drivers, I think, in the drivers' championship as well too, with his good results from last week. So he wants to continue that momentum. But Dean's got to keep James is behind him.
And a whole lot of space now. Van Treek, Washington, and Starrett very spread out. It's only once you get back. You've got Danny P here in P4, and then just behind Mitch Curry heading up really the only pack in the top 10 at the moment, this battle for 5th. So Curry will be feeling fairly comfortable now. He's had a bit of a splash of fuel at least.
I'm curious to see if Jackson Starrett's going to come in this lap.
You'd have to think he will. You'd have to think so. Let's keep an eye on him.
And
there
Jake
he goes.
and Dan Micro, the other two drivers
So
haven't come.
Starrett's in, which will let Danny P come past. And here we go, last lap. That's heartbreaking for Jackson Starrett. If he had just had one more lap in the tank,
One more.
that's all it would have taken.
Well, Jake stayed out, I think. Jake Rebelled. He did.
Jake,
So
Jake Rebelled stayed out.
What about Dan Micro? If they can stay out, we'll have to keep an eye to see if they're going to have enough to go to the end of the race, or they will be running on vapors for sure. So if Jake can do it, I'm surprised that the other drivers couldn't.
Just different strategies, I suppose. But have a look.
It was the Ferrari as well, so the same machinery.
It was. Yeah, Danny P has found himself back up into P3. How stoked would he be right now? Just has to hold these guys off for the last lap, and that's not going to take much. Mitch Curry at the moment probably tied up with keeping an eye on James Bunker behind him. But these guys spaced out just enough that there shouldn't be too much in it. Now, can Van Treek hold off Washington as Washington saved it all for this last lap?
No, there's going to be damage limitation, obviously, I think, for Danny P, so it's a good job for him to keep the two of these championship rivalries as close as he possibly can.
Some fantastic driving from Van Treek tonight, though. If he can wrap this up, to hold off Jeremy Washington in 2 consecutive races is no small feat.
Yeah,
just a few corners between him and the race win. Yeah,
very close actually. 17 points I think separating. Let me double check that real quick there. But well, no, that was to Liam.
Still looking threatening.
So, no, but it will get pushed off Joshua. I think probably maybe in the top 10 now, where it is just outside the top 10 going into this one.
And here we go. Last couple of corners, as long as he doesn't do anything too silly here.
And Jake.
And there it is.
Gets good job, yep. Jake might have run out of gas. He's dropping some places of Jake Ravelli, who I thought that would be running.
That's it. He's
out of gas.
Fumes. He's
out
done.
Of gas. Oh no.
Danny P taking third. Mitch Curry and James Bunker, nose aligned there. But in the end, Curry taking 4th, Bunker in 5th, Keldulis in 6th, Jensen and Power behind them. And Jake Robiard, can he make it across the line?
He might. It's just it's a short pit lane entrance, remember?
How many spots is he going to drop here? 1, 2.
2.
Oh, just noses across. Just noses across. Oh, and right next to him, Dan Mirko. Also out of fuel. Those guys pushed it to the absolute limit. Absolute
Good on
limit.
them for that, actually. That's just fun sportsmanship to give it a shot, because you got to play the gamble sometimes, and it could pay off. And I think Joshua and Jeremy looking at that going, "Oof! Thankfully we didn't do that."
Yeah, 100%. So, in the end, Van Treek, Washington, Danny P. The top 3. Mitch Curry, James Bunker behind them. Then Keldulis, Jensen, Power, Starrett, Orford, and Shotter. All coming through, not too far behind. Chris McVie, Robiard hangs on to 14th with Scott Stevens and Dan Mirko in 15th. Reese Wakefield and Carmelo Coloridi in 17th, followed by Nathan Wilson and Brian East. Not quite the result he was hoping for in race 2, I'm sure, after a very solid race 1 effort. And then Nathan Bowman, Ryan Palmer, Luke Speck, Luke Ewing and Brad Cooper all a fair way back after those earlier incidents. But once again, a fantastic night of racing here with the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship. Biggles, I don't know, we could have asked for a lot more at Spa.
Oh, it's absolutely exciting. Of course, with that, we had like a big pile up. Of course, of race 2 there, we had fuel strategies going through the roof because we had caution cars, safety cars for a good 15-minute chunk of our feature race. It's just, yeah, and I'm loving the track. The track looks good. I'm really interested to hear from the drivers and probably talk to them a little bit about that next week or something like that, about how it felt. But yeah, Joe, it's good.
All in all, great bit of racing, mate, and a pleasure to be here with you again for this, as we said, slightly delayed broadcast, but as always, an absolute pleasure to bring it to everybody once again this evening. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. We'll obviously be back with a live race on Monday night, and that'll be, what are we going to next, Biggles? What have we got coming up? Our next race after Spa.
We have Sebring.
Daytona.
Hang on, Daytona.
Daytona.
Sorry.
Night race from Daytona. So that'll be an interesting one. But until then, ladies and gents, do please drive safe. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast. And as always, Biggles, a pleasure to be here with you. We'll be back at it again in just a few nights' time, hey?
Yep, absolutely. See you then.
Good stuff. Look after yourselves, folks. We'll see you then.